All right. So happy to see everybody here today. We're going to be getting started now. Uh, really close to being on time, so proud about that. Good evening, family. Welcome to the Imagine Black and Equitable Giving Circle December Mass Call. My name is Keith Turvlon, and I serve as the manager of field and organizing at Imagine Black. It feels good to be in community with you all tonight. We gather in spirit of reflection, connection, and renewal as this year comes to a close. Many of us are carrying both the weight of what has been difficult and the gratitude for what has sustained us. Tonight, we're creating space for both. Um, this evening, we're centering community care, movement building, and how we get free. We're exploring what it means to care for one another in real tangible ways, how we continue building power as Black people in Oregon, and how we hold on to our joy, love, and collective agency in the process. Before we dive in, I want to take a moment to ground us in who Imagine Black is and what guides our work. At Imagine Black, our mission is to help our Black community imagine the alternatives we deserve and build political power to bring them to life. Our vision is a world where all people of African descent have the rights, resources, and recognition to be a thriving, resilient, and connected community. Our Black queer feminist lens reminds us that our liberation is collective. And in the words of civil rights movement leader Fannie Lou Hamer, nobody is free until everybody's free. Movement building requires us to re examine our communal relationships, values, and culture. This Black queer feminist lens asks us to center the wisdom of those most impacted by oppression and to lead with love, compassion, and integrity. It teaches us that care and resistance go hand in hand. When we say we're fighting for freedom, we mean a freedom that is grounded in care, a freedom where everyone has what they need to survive and to dream, a freedom that leaves nobody behind and acknowledges that we keep us safe. Tonight, alongside our partners at Equitable Giving Circle, we will share end of year reflections, discuss how our organizations are practicing community care and movement building, and imagine how we can continue creating spaces where Black and Brown people thrive in 2026 and beyond. Let's take a deep breath together. We've made it to this moment, and that's something worth honoring. I want to begin by introducing our partners and co-hosts from Equitable Giving Circle, um, who've been doing powerful work and throughout the year to make sure Black and Brown families and communities in Portland are cared for and supported. With that said, I give you AJ.
Oh, thank you for that beautiful intro and grounding us in this space, Keith. I really appreciate you. Welcome, everybody. This is our last mass call of the year. Um, I'm going to talk, for those of you that don't know me, I think a lot of y'all do know me. I'm AJ McCreary. I'm one of the co founders and the executive director of Equitable Giving Circle. We do community care work. As Keith mentioned, we have two really big programs our CSA, our CSA program, our community supported agriculture. We feed about 400 families a week, and then we also have our community wellness program, and we serve folks through our Healthy Family Healthy Birth program, our large scale community events, and our Plant Jam slash Black Elder Care Garden project. We have a ton of programming. It's all on the website. We are rooted in this community and honored to be doing community care work and doing it in a way that is very different for Portland. One of the things that we're grounded in at EGC is giving folks our first, our best, and so being really intentional about not just how we serve our community, but what we serve our community. Um, this year, we are ending out the year really strong. I'm really proud of our team. We are still feeding, like I said, over 400 families a week through our CSA program, and we're about to wrap out our year with our last Thursday market, our extravaganza, which is a huge end of the year resource giveaway with Black Santa and all kinds of goodies is happening on Saturday. If you're interested, I think there are still a few signups left, so hop on our stuff and or I'll drop it in the chat later. Um, so yeah, we have that going on Saturday, and then our Healthy Family Healthy Birth is wrapping out the year with an event for our Healthy Family Healthy Birth families. Super proud of us getting to the 5 year mark. It's been a whirlwind. When we first started EGC, I never imagined that we would be in this space or place and doing the kind of work that we're doing and having the impact on our larger community. So, deeply proud of the team. As we round out this year, I haven't started working on our end of the year report quite yet. So, that's the week after next project. But I'm excited to get into that data and crunch all of that. Those of you that do know me know I'm a nerd. I love all of that kind of stuff. Um, Next year, we're really going to be working on securing our new building space so that we can truly grow our work and impact. I've been working on this building project for, it feels like forever, really hard over the last 3 years, and we've gotten some great resources, some great grants from Multnomah County, and then a questionable grant from Portland Clean Energy Fund. Um, and I just secured design work from Place, which is a local architecture firm. So I'm really excited about how things are coming together, and hopefully uh, we'll be making a solid offer on somewhere in the first quarter of next year. We do have a spot in mind. Um, we're also really excited about the working group that we've been doing, kind of rooted in the Black community with Mudbone Grown and Feed and Freedom and a bunch of other Black food access folks. It's called the Black Oregon Food Equity Collective, and it is a working group. We're trying to find better ways to build out and connect our Black food system, which is a really amazing, pretty intact food system. A lot of people don't realize that. I was just at the Black Farmer Index gathering in the end of October and was really surprised in talking to other food access leaders within the Black community in other communities in other states, and getting that reality check that we are so much more connected and further along in the way that our Black food system is working and thinking and talking to each other. So I'm really excited about continuing to work within that group and with the other folks who are doing similar work as we continue to define the pathway to food sovereignty within our community. And this is really doable. I know we start talking about like systems, people like shut down, but there's 91,000 Black Oregonians, and which sounds like a massive number if we were going to invite all these people to a party. But thinking about this from a statewide plan, this is a very manageable thing that we can actually bring to life. And so I'm super excited that we are collectively talking and trying to map out that map and get things moving. Um, a reflection that I have about 2025 in community care work that I'd like to share with you all as a collective is that we need to get more of everyone to the table. I'm going to say that again. We need to get more of everyone to the table. We have a lot of folks across the color line sitting and watching and cheering from the side, and we need to get more folks actively tapped into community, at community events, at community building, and just communicating with neighbors. We're very detached as a larger community. We can talk about that in Portland, in the Pacific Northwest, on the West Coast, nationally. Um, I think a lot of people confuse or use social media as a crutch, and I really encourage everybody here to think about the next community event. Who can you that you are attending? Who can you bring? Who can you invite along? And it's something that I've watched really closely over the last year and been taking note of who's not where, um, and how do we get more people to the table. And one of the ways that is very loud is that all of us need to take a bigger responsibility of inviting and bringing people along. Um, and then the second reflection that I would like to share and that I've been thinking about is on community sustainability. Um, we have got to really push back on a trickle down anything because that doesn't work, especially when we're talking about community, community building, community development, one on one, immediate needs, immediate impact is really what we should be focusing on. We need to hold our elected leaders and our the leaders in our community who hold the most resources accountable, and we need to address We need to make folks address material conditions in the now. Not in 18 months, not in 5 years, and definitely not in 10 years plus. We need to be addressing material conditions of our community now. And anyone that's peddling long term projects as your saving grace is not being serious. I know that there are people who are going to push back on that and be like, wait, what? But we've been watching trickle down everything for the last 30 years. And we've also been watching a lot of research kind of take place everywhere. And people are really press about that. And we need to be hyper focused in this next chapter about implementation. We're talking about the Black community, climate, just poverty in general. So I really encourage people to pay attention to that and to bring it up and push back when people are giving us more long term, this is going to take such a long time. Sure, great. But what is the plan for now? Like, if anyone's peddling a long term solution, we should also be holding them accountable how they are addressing the material condition of people in the immediate. Um, and I really encourage people that if we're talking about sustainability within our community, it's going to be really important that we are addressing immediate needs. If we don't, who's going to be here for the project when it gets done in 10 plus years? And the last thing I want to share with y'all that I'm thinking about as we wrap up this end of the year, like some goals that I have next year. And I love when I get to tell things like this publicly because it holds me accountable. And so I want to do more storytelling in um, more engagement around community belonging and placemaking, and really thinking about the placemaking through our Black Elder Garden Project. And just also really thinking about additional ways that we can do storytelling at EGC. We're really intentional not to share like or lean into poverty porn or highlighting people in vulnerable moments. And so I'm really excited to challenge myself in ways to find ways to storytell that are still within our values, but also, do a better job of storytelling about our work and engaging with our community. So yeah, that's my little spiel. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much for all of that, AJ. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for everything you do to model community care in real time. The work that EGC reminds us that care is not an afterthought, it's a strategy for liberation. What you do in our community is much needed. And I just wanted to thank you personally from the bottom of my heart for the work that you do because it means a lot to me and to our community. Um, so thank you. And that being said, let's turn to Imagine Black and share a bit about how we've been cultivating community and building Black political power this year. I'm gonna pass it to our leader, Joy Elise.
Thank you so much, Keith. Thank you too, AJ. Everything that Keith mentioned, I could literally hear you talk all day. I'm like, give me more. Do you need longer than 10 minutes? Do you want my 10 minutes? Like, keep talking. But I don't know. I don't think people realize the depth of the work that you all do, the intentionality. I don't think many people would be here without the work that y'all are doing. And I say that not in like a way to be weird, but like I'm super, super grateful for your hard work and your invisible work that people don't see. I'm super excited to talk to you a little bit about this year and similar to AJ, like reflect a little bit around just what's been going on and both some really exciting things. I'm gonna be with y'all some like fun challenges and things that we're working through and trying to make space for, but not let fear stop us from moving the way that we need to move. But yeah, this year has stretched us quite a bit. What I'm excited about is that we were able to like deepen our work and get prepared for our upcoming year. And I think 2026 is going to be a really, really big year for so many different reasons. I'm sure y'all know Imagine Black, we do movement building work. Just if you don't know, movement building work is not possible without direct service work, without mutual aid work. Those are all things that reaffirm each other. Everything that AJ mentioned, like there is no long haul if we can't think about the immediate, if we can't think about how we're gonna help people to now today and help them survive this moment. we've been thinking a lot. In some ways, it feels like working in the shadows and making some plans and building and trying to do our best to protect, to defend, holding some space for imagining this year. We did a lot of imagining. I know my team were like, we did a lot of planning. We spent so much time in Google Docs this year trying to think through how to make next year an opportunity for us to stand in our political power and also be mindful of, I think, the real threats that we're dealing with, both as individuals and as a nonprofit. Um, when I was thinking about speaking tonight, I had some time this afternoon to just think about what this year has felt like. As a quote unquote leader, like what is it? What has this year been like? And I think a lot of us know it's been a challenging year, and not just for Imagine Black, for Black led orgs around the country, brown orgs around the country, folks who center folks who are most impacted, vulnerable communities. We're being attacked, we're being defunded, we're being threatened. We've spent a lot of this year thinking about some real realities. The reality is that we live in a world where our federal administration, threatens to get rid of our, IRS status like every other week. I'm not sure if you saw the news. They're putting together this list of extremists. And as an organization that has had, even local, more conservative folks say really nasty things that could put us on this list. There's some real threats that we're trying to make some space for and think about how we can show up fully, to make sure that we're not living in fear, but that we're also meeting the moment fully. So there's been tons of pressure, but I do want to be mindful this pressure is not an accident. It is by design. The administration federally, and I would even say quite a lot of folks locally, they want us to stress out. They want us to scramble for resources, to spend our time arguing with each other, who gets to be the voice of the Black community and who gets to do what. They want us to spend time getting distracted and not realizing that we actually have quite a lot of resources here in Oregon. And if we really wanted to, we can fund the programs that are necessary to keep us well in this moment. I refuse to believe that we can't flow more dollars into communities that are most vulnerable. I know we can. I have some ideas on how we can do that. Cough, cough. The police budget's really big. It would be really nice to put that towards food and to put that towards housing. I mean, there's so many crises that are stacking up on each other. But I do at the same time am mindful. It's not just, government. I think philanthropy is also in this moment trying to figure out what to do. And I'm hoping that they continue to be bold and courageous and not be afraid, because they are not the most vulnerable folks in this equation. Like they can fight back. They can use their legal team to make sure they continue to fund the groups that need to be funded. But in Imagine Black, we're still organizing, still building, still dreaming, still showing up for each other. And I honestly, I think that's kind of like a victory in itself, like we're still here, amongst kind of a lot of things that are really challenging right now. I do want to uplift some wins because I'm really honored to work with some really great folks, and they have worked hard this year, y'all. I'm going to try to speed through some things. There's a lot of shadow work, for everything that I think is public facing. Just a reminder, there's so many, hours and labor of folks planning behind the scenes. And it is such a privilege to serve the community in this way. So I don't take that privilege for granted. But I want to shout out to the folks working on Afroecology. There is a beautiful zine that came out this year that was a beautiful labor of love and such a powerful document that centers Black people in this environmental and climate work, something that we haven't seen Oregon do in a long time. It reminds us that we need to continue to fight for the land, but we can't fight for it if we aren't holding space to heal from it, to heal our relationship to it, our relationship with each other. It's really a call for community care and healing justice. And I'm really excited that we had that beautiful zine get released. We surveyed hundreds of people to ask them what are the things that they're up against. We're able to compare that to last year's survey, where we also surveyed hundreds of people to see what are the trends, what are the things that we need to be focusing on. We held a beautiful Earth Day event. I don't have the numbers on top of me, but it felt like 100 people there. It was, everywhere I turned, I saw Black people. It was beautiful. We had a great time at Black Futures Farm. We hosted, weekly live streams on our app for Yin Yoga. Shout out to Yin Yoga Studios. We had meditation sessions. We had conversations with artists about what does it look like to look at the intersection between art and Black liberation. We did some really beautiful things at the beginning of the year with our Reimagine Public Safety Summit. I'm really excited. We have some beautiful videos and some takeaways that we're going to be sharing. Of just we held space to dream, to vision, to collage together, to sit down and hear some great lectures from some leaders locally in the space of public safety and how do we reimagine it? How do we make sure that we are building a public safety system that loves us? Something that I think most of us have never seen in our lifetime. I know I haven't. We did some great work with childcare. We learned some great things with childcare and our coalition partners. What I learned and I'm taking away is we need to organize more effectively. We can't keep asking our legislators politely to do the things that we need them to do. We actually need to demand it. We need to put more political pressure. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons of our childcare campaign this year, connected to many BIPOC organizations around the state, is that, we've been too polite and it's time for us to stand in our power. It's time for us to push back. We held like 4 kinfolk meetings. Shout out to Keith. We had these beautiful quarterly kinfolk meetings this year that I think were a space for us to come together and not feel as isolated. Our Black Workers Center team did a great job with Rosewood Initiative, building out this business plan and thinking about what does it look like for us to center workers in this moment, and not just, no disrespect, not just the small business owners, but the workers that actually keep our economy going and keep us moving. I'm looking at my time. I'm like, let me know if I'm going over, Keith. Keep me honest. But I do know that a lot of these wins you don't always see on like a social media post or I don't know, an interview at one of these like very fancy, OPB events or things like that. But a lot of this work is invisible work that I'm really proud to work with some great folks who got in some good trouble this year, I guess. Um, I'm gonna be quick because I know I don't have much time left, but I want to share what's been like lighting a fire under me in this moment, like what's been frustrating me. I think just seeing the misinformation has been really hard this year. I think something that I didn't expect that has like hurt me to the core is this like conversation about how we're blaming individuals for what's happening at the federal level because of how they voted. I don't know if you've seen that. I remember things that were happening, that big flood in Texas. I remember people were like, well, that's what they get. They voted the wrong way. And that was like a really challenging moment. Like Texas is actually, there's a lot of progressive working class people who are caught up in a system that doesn't allow them to stand in their power. They don't deserve to die just because they made some mistakes or they were susceptible to misinformation. So I think what I'm hoping in this new year's, and I guess my dream for this new year is that try to figure out how to center care, how to have empathy, how to hold space that not all of us do the right and perfect thing at all times, and that most of us learn because we had our peer or our family and our friend teach us. And how do we hold some space to teach people and bring them along in this movement, and also know the wisdom to know when you might have hit your limit and they don't want to move any further. So I'm thinking about that a lot. I'm thinking about how liberation is a collective project. I'm thinking about the fact that we know better. We know our power is with each other. We know that we have the tools that we need to be successful. I think, we won't be able to move forward without community. And I'm hoping that we can hold some space in this new year for community in a way that I didn't see this year. I'm probably out of time in a second. I think I have like a minute left. But I want to say that I'm looking forward this year to organizing with folks. I think what gives me hope is that people are waking up, people are preparing, people are, tired of being polite and saying the perfect thing and trying their best to have these tough conversations, to demand more for what, people have given us. I think that gives me hope. Every time like we organize, we gather, we imagine, we take care of one another, we get closer to the world where we're thriving, on our terms. So I'm just hoping we can continue to do that. As this world stretches us, as this upcoming year will continue to stretch us and push us. I'm hoping we, come back, stronger and keep building and keep imagining. I can rant all day. I'm looking at Keith because he's like, Joy, you need to, he won't say it to me, but I know I need to wrap up. Thank you so much for fighting with us this year, for holding space, for funding this work, for being willing to have some great conversations. We're really excited about some things happening in the upcoming year, which I'm sure we'll hold some space a little bit later to talk about.
Yo, thank you so much, Joy Elise. Um, as usual, hearing you speak is music to my ears. I love everything you had to say. I love the way that you put everything, um, and the urgency going into next year. Because I completely agree. Um, And with that said, we're gonna lean on you and AJ's brilliance a little bit more for this wonderful mass call. This next 15 minutes is a place for reflection and dialogue. So I want to ask you a few questions. Um, I'll uh, I'll start with AJ since you just finished talking. And the question is for both of you, but AJ is going to go first. Um, how are you seeing community care show up around you right now, AJ?
Ooh, I love that question. I also want to say, Joyce, I love listening to you too. You are brilliant. You have an amazing team, and it's such a joy to hear your wisdom. Uh, yeah, you're just brilliant. Um, Goodness. How am I seeing community care show up around me right now? I would say on like a personal level, I'm seeing it like my healer community shows up for me like personally, and it's been much needed this season. I've actually lost 13 people in 9 months, and um it has been really beautiful the way that my healing community has rallied around me. And it's been a whole other, like, new layer and lesson in community care. Not just self care, but what it looks like to be just, yeah, to as a community care leader, as a healer, to also have people turn that back, like reflect that back on me in a really loud and powerful way. So I've been thinking about community care a lot on an intimate level. I'm seeing it in general in the ways in the last like 2 months around SNAP. More people are really starting to think about and understand the landscape of food access and what is the crisis. So, and just for, I won't nerd out too much because I know I could like just drop into a whole lecture. But here in Oregon, there are about 757,000 people on SNAP, and there's about a million people who are food insecure. And food, that additional chunk of folks who are food insecure, it looks like they run out of food and money by for their next paycheck. It looks like adults skipping meals or stretching meals. It looks like families relying on free lunch. So there's a the spectrum of what food insecurity looks like is quite significant. And so I've been really inspired not by that crisis, but the amount of people that are rallying to be more engaged and thoughtful, who are asking questions, who are, trying to hold spaces accountable, who need to be doing better. And also who are just making sure that people are fed. So we've been seeing an uptick in people participating in free fridges, school pantries, food drives, and also just person to person. And so I find that um, really hopeful for the ways that like our community does know care, and that we just really need to like lock in that this is an all the time thing, not just around the federal government doing whatever diabolical thing that they're going to do this week or next week, but as a practice. And so that's one of the ways that I'm seeing community care show up. Um, and I'm very inspired by it. And I do encourage everybody, because the food insecurity crisis is not going anywhere. HR 1, which is also called or considered the big beautiful bill, it's a pretty diabolical bill. Um, HR 1 cuts about 315,000 Oregonians off of SNAP over the next year. And nationwide, this bill is cutting the 42 million folks that are on SNAP down to about, I don't know, somewhere around like 20 million. And then there's additional ways that they're trying to cut SNAP through changing the requirements what as a dependent. So they're now saying dependents are 14 and under. And this is going to push so that we see 15-year-olds and older going into the labor to do manual labor or low wage jobs. They're also pushing them to more likely to steal, so if they don't have food access at home. And so that is wild. And I'm really optimistic that more people will pay attention and care and do what they can to make sure that their neighbors, their friends, their family, their classmates are fed. Yeah. So I've been, yeah, just that. that whole crisis, I really do appreciate how people are showing up. And yeah, I'm very, very much holding space that we will double down in the way that we are talking about this and caring for each other.
Wow. So half the state is going to lose their SNAP benefits. Half the country is going to lose their SNAP benefits. That's exactly as you said. That's diabolical. Um, Terrible. Same question to you, Joy Elise. How are you seeing community care show up around you right now?
Thank you for such a good question. I think similar to what AJ mentioned, I'm gonna do like a personal and then kind of the systematic. I think I've seen a lot more folks reach out to see if folks are okay in a way that I haven't seen in the years past. Like beyond just like the like on some social media post or something that's super quick or sending memes to each other on Instagram here and there. But I mean, if I had like $1 for every time AJ sent me a message and was like, Joy, are you taking care of yourself? Like, here's this yoga thing coming up. Are you moving the stress out of your body? And I think there, as much as I am um nervous about how some folks are leading into isolation, I'm both like really proud of my community and the folks that I've been building with because I think we've been caring for each other in a way that I haven't seen before. And it feels good to know that someone's looking out for you, to be quite honest. And I encourage folks to start building these little pods where they just check in with somebody and see how they're doing because you never know what impact that has. Um, I think from similar, I mean, everything that AJ said, I mean, again, I could listen all day. I'm like, yes, tell me more. Um, I've been inspired by how folks have been willing to put their and not always, but the folks who are willing to put their bodies on the line for folks who are most vulnerable. And not just here locally, but even seeing things in Chicago, folks willing to literally say, no, you will not grab this person. You will not take this person. I don't know about you, y'all, but I keep having these little tender moments where if anyone is nice to me, I'm like, what is happening? You're like, why are you doing this? Just, I think the world wants us to think that everyone is us versus them and we're not showing up for each other. And it's been really inspiring to see how Chicago in particular has been showing up for each other. Folks who are most privileged, literally, again, putting their bodies on the line to make sure folks who are vulnerable can make it home safely. I've seen some folks in North Portland do something similar where they show up to schools and just making sure that ICE knows that they're not welcome here. And I think we need more of that. So, yeah, I know everything AJ mentioned, but on the personal, creating these pods, and then on the systematic, how we've been unwilling to be silent, I guess.
That's real. Check on your people. Check on the people you love because sometimes I don't know I'm not okay until somebody asks me. And that's like a real like aha moment. And it wouldn't have I wouldn't even had that revelation if that person didn't care enough to ask. So um like I said, check on your people, check on your family. I resonate everything with everything you said, Joy Elise. Thank you for saying it out loud. Uh our next question, um, go back to AJ. What does movement building look like for you in this moment?
So, movement building in this moment looks like slowing down. And I know that's going to be like, "Ooh, what?" Especially those that know my work. And I'm like, let's do as much as we can. Let's build. And I still 100% feel let's do as much as we can. Let's build. But I also am really finding a lot of magic in slowing down and spending intentional time. Like, I'm always about intentional time, but I mean, like, I've been having like 4 or 5 hour hangout sessions with elders, being really intentional about going to in person events or my peers and friends events, not just being like, oh, I love it, I saw it, like hyping it up, but actually stopping and going to the event. Um, and what I'm seeing and feeling in the way of slowing down and being really intentional to build community and those connections is that the conversations are a lot richer. The what we're able to accomplish is a lot, is just a much more in abundance. Um, what we're able to, how we're feeling just feels a lot more grounded. And I think that the way that we engage with social media and capitalism, especially late stage capitalism, is forcing us to go, 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 go. We're losing out on so much like cultural inheritance. So really thinking about what has been passed down, and are we practicing those practices? Are we keeping those memories alive? Are we sharing history, oral history? Um, are we building relationships? When we move fast, we're not able to like not just build relationships, but we're not able to weather bumps. And if you have long term relationships and you're engaging with people in an intentional way, when the bumps come up, because they're always going to come up, you can sit and address it and work through it collectively. And you also aren't really expecting we're having this bump, we have to work it out in the next 15 minutes. And I'll use a personal example. I had a conflict with a friend group, and I said, I need space. And I took like literally like 3 months to just like clear my head, breathe, focus on the other things. And because I built relationships, intentional relationships with those friends, it wasn't a front that like I just needed space. There was respect. We were able to come back and talk about it. We were able to move through it. And everything is fine and dandy, and we're able to move on and keep building our relationship. And that comes from that relationship of trust in the intentional slow building. And so I always think about things in my personal life and how it impacts my community work, and how community work impacts my personal life. And so I really, as I've been experiencing having to slow down, and feeling the benefits of it, I really think the way that we meet this next moment is taking a breath and slowing down. And I want to be clear, slowing down doesn't mean hibernate. By all means, rest, rejuvenate, do that. But I mean, like, intentionally going to stuff. If it's on your calendar, you show up, not booking 6 things in a day or even 2 things in a day, right? Like, doing the one thing, being there, being present. And I promise you that you will make stronger connections, and you will be more inspired to do more, to participate more, to lean in. And I think that's what we need and what this moment is calling for. As a historian, and one of my favorite professors, Dr. Carmen, is here tonight. As a historian, one of the things that I really see in history from movement building is that, especially in the civil rights movement, it was one of our favorite times for our modern moment to like reflect on. The civil rights movement, that era, whether you're thinking about the Black Panther Party, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, or any of the many, many incredible people from that time period, they spent a lot of FaceTime together. They had meetings in person. They wrote each other letters. They had long conversations on the phone. They, did activities together. It wasn't just like, we're in this document, we're hammering it out, this 20-minute call. It was intentional time and relationship building. And so when I think about where we've come from and where we need to go, that is a practice that we all can really implement on the day to day. And as somebody who has deeply been practicing this, it feels magical.
Yo, you dropping dimes today. Um, moving slow, especially in movement building, is much needed. Like you have to, and for all the reasons you said, um, I second everything you said. It was actually quite brilliant. Um, Same question to you, Joy Elise. What does movement building look like for you in this moment?
I mean, again, AJ, like I said, just dropping all the knowledge. I was like, "Are you talking to me?" I'm like, "Should I take notes?" I feel both like attacked and seen at the same time. So thank you for that. But no, somewhat there's such a lesson in there. I think I got a chance with some folks even on the call to go to Florida a few weeks back to learn how some Black folks are organizing in Florida, and to see the differences of some of the things that we have here, some of the privileges we have here, and some of the things that we've lost. And I think that speaks to everything you just mentioned, AJ. Like I think Oregon is a place that has really strong, like, what to say, policy chops, so to speak. And not always, I would say, I think that's something too, we don't always see that in the Black community. Like there hasn't been enough of us that have like a dedicated policy staff. I can't think of like one org right now that has a policy staff member. But generally speaking, like we're really good at getting a bill passed. We're really good at flowing money in a way that other states aren't who do similar work to us. But what we're not good at, and I think is what AJ hit, is like knowing how to turn like relational organizing into like people power to get wins. Like there's not a thread there, and in some ways I think we devalue the work of relationship building as organizing. Relational organizing is how we build people power, how we like do this work in the long haul. There's nothing more, well, there's lots of things more embarrassed, but there's something really embarrassing about going to the legislator and you're doing your lobby day and the only people there are the folks you work with and only nonprofit folks. And you're like, wait a minute, where's the people at? You're like, oh, I've spent so much time in this Google Doc with coalition partners, or I've spent so much time trying to get these elected officials to like us, to we're schmoozing them to get them to vote a certain way. And reality is they don't. They won't unless they actually feel the pressure. And I'm hoping. So for me in this moment, like I'm hoping we can get back to putting some like real pressure on folks, and we can't do that if we don't, trust each other, like AJ said, if we're not building relationships, if we're not having those one-on-one conversations. Not everything needs to be on social media and actually should be. Like, we got to go back to some covert stuff, like the civil rights movement didn't like go outside with a banner and say, we're going to do this next week and be ready. Like, no, like they called each other one-on-one. They had like a physical ledger and they had phone trees and they were able to self-organize and get these pods together. And I think right now, movement building for me feels like building that base up. And I don't think we're going to be able to get the wins we deserve and need without actually building the community and the people power necessary to fight for it. So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking a lot about is how do we come together? Um, and I think in like a nerdy fun way, which AJ always be nerdy with me. You're like, I don't want to be nerdy. I'm like, yes, more nerds. We can't hit people up and just say, let's fight the man together. Like that doesn't actually work. We actually need to, like you said, trust each other. We have to talk to each other. We have to ask what are the things that are irking us? What are the things that's giving us the creeps right now, that's making us uncomfortable, making it hard for us to do our best work and live our best lives. And I think to do that authentically, you have to build relationships. Mhm.
Spitting on fire today, both of y'all. Um, Next question we have is it's the final question. How can we continue to meet people where they are and invite them into the community? Oh, sorry, AJ.
Yeah. How do we meet people where they are? Well, I think really when we start talking to people, right? Intentionally talking to people. Mama Donna Maxey, who's the founder of Race Talks, she always teaches about um, talking to our neighbors across the color line. Do you know your neighbors? Are you comfortable? Like, do you know their names? Are there neighbors that you're comfortable asking for an egg or some sugar? Are there neighbors that, if there's a crisis, you can call on? Are there neighbors if there is like emergency that y'all can band together, share resources? And if you don't have any neighbors like that, then you got to start intentionally talking to your neighbors. And I think about that in relationship to my parents' neighborhood, where like my dad is always outside and he knows everybody and everybody knows him. And it's beautiful. And I really think that when we start talking to people, and we can practice with our neighbors in our neighborhood because they're there and hopefully you're seeing each other as you come and go. This is a slow build, right? It's not going to just happen overnight, but this is, if you put intention in it. And my upstairs neighbor, she wouldn't talk to me and now we house sit for each other. And that took like 18 months, and it's lovely. um, but when we start talking to people, that we can start knowing and understanding where people are at. And so once you start chatting with people and getting to know them and a little comfortable sharing that information, that is when we get to have the ability to meet people. If we're not talking to anybody, you don't know if where people, what they need, what they're at. I think another way that we can practice like meeting people where they're at beyond talking is intentionally inviting people. I have recently, there's a couple elders. I hang out with lots of elders. I absolutely adore our elders. There's a couple elders that are live alone in their mid 80s, in my intimate community, and I've intentionally been picking some of them up. I don't drive, but like me and whoever's driving will go get them and bring them to some different events. And I've seen that. And I know this also works with kids or anyone in general. I have girlfriends that'll be like, hey, we're going to go do X, Y, and Z. Get in the car. But intentionally inviting people. So if you're already going to a community event, who can you bring? Who can you text or call or email, or is there a neighbor that you could say, hey, I'm going to this, you should come? The next time you go on a virtual call, who is it that you can say, be my buddy, we're going to go together? And through those more intimate invitations and those actions, we also start to like actually know, like, what do folks need? Do you need extra food? Oh, you're looking for a job. It's really going to be those intimate conversations, that car ride, that walk somewhere together where you're going to be able to learn a little bit more. I really think too about like how high schoolers, like they've got time on the bus together, they walk places together, and there's so much little bonding that happens in that setting, right? When, because like young people will be traveling in little packs together, whether it's on the bus or however they're moving around. And their bonds as young people happen in all of those, in the walk, in the bus ride, in the waiting. And as adults, as we get more independent and we live alone, we have our own modes of transportation. We don't really think about that. And I think that's where we start leaning in. And truly, if you like ask young people, they know a lot about their peers, right? Even if beyond their just close friends, because like even like the way that they're chit chatting in line or in the hallway. And I think that we can adapt some of those and really try to insert those in our adult lives too, because those intimate conversations are incredibly valuable and really are the meat and potatoes or the protein of community building.
I know that's right because I definitely need to speak to my neighbors more. Uh, I know one of my neighbors, they're my downstairs neighbor, and I really only know them because they work somewhere that I frequent. And then I put two and two together. It was like, hey, apartment 313? Like it wasn't even like it's bad. I need to know these people way better. I can't ask them for anything. I gotta ask people who don't even live close to me to house sit for my cats. Cat sit for me
See,
when
but
I'm
now you have an activity to work on, a fun activity.
yeah, yeah, I'm leaving today's mass call with homework. Same question to you, Joy Elise. How can we continue to meet people where they are and invite them into the community?
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about, and I probably like broken record at this moment of like, how did I learn how to be in community? What are the values that I have in, I was raised in Cincinnati, Ohio to like a Black Pentecostal family. I had to learn quite a lot. And through community, oh my gosh, sorry, someone's just walking by and they're saying hello to me. Hi. I had to learn a lot and I had to make some mistakes. And I'm lucky I had people in my life who came up to me and said, you know what, Joy, you don't have all the facts. You are missing some really big gaps in understanding this issue. They didn't come to me. Sometimes they came in a nice way. Sometimes they snatched me up. It was like, no, that's not it. And we had known each other and built enough relationship that I knew they weren't doing it because they were trying to harm me or trying to hurt me or embarrass me, but it was because they cared about me. I was raised like you don't spend your time on people you don't care about. Like you're not going to tell somebody that they can be better if you don't really care about them. And I think that energy needs to move into 2026. Like I do think it's really easy for us to just disregard a lot of people. And don't get me wrong, I do think there are a lot of people who are opposition, who are actively working against us. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about Lord of mercy. I'm talking about my grandmother, if I'm to be frank. Like, she got some gaps. She needs some conversations. How do I not discard her? How do I bring her along? And then how do I have the wisdom to know when I've taken it as far as I can? So I'm hoping that we can hold more space to learn together, to know how to be direct with kindness and not be too nice where we won't say the truth. To find the tools to self-regulate. So when someone says something wild, we don't lose ourselves, but be like, interesting. Let me ask you a very curious question back, to dive deeper into why did you think this way, which is my favorite thing to do. Like, oh, you said something wild. What does that mean? And like, let these folks sit with the hatred sometimes that they're parroting out, so to speak. So yeah, I'm thinking about how do we talk more? How do we hold more space together? How do we step outside of ourselves to have these tough conversations? I think like many on this call, or maybe I'm projecting, the last few years, I was definitely in this energy, like, you know what, it is not my responsibility to educate you. And I think sometimes that's true, but like, I'm in community with you. Actually, like, my commitment to community is that we move together and I don't leave you behind and you don't leave me behind. And I think this, yeah, this concept that you have to learn in isolation, I think is just very, white and colonial, and I think we can do better.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love that. Thank you both for taking the time to answer these questions. I felt like they were important. And I really just wanted to know what y'all thought because you're so brilliant. Um, Next, we're going to be moving on my closing remarks from EGC and Imagine Black. Uh, and EGC, go first.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you to the Magic Black team publicly for really doing a lot of the labor to keep these mass calls going. This has been a beautiful project. Just really thoughtful conversations that we've been able to have collectively. So super honored to participate in that in this as one of the many projects that EGC has participated in this year. And I really hope that folks, if you're new or not, if this is one of the first times that you're engaging with Imagine Black, that you lean in. The way that they are building power and education in our larger community is remarkable, and they've been doing really good work for a long time. Um, my closing remarks in general is I do want to express a lot of gratitude, not just to them, but to our larger community, to the folks that show up. I saw many familiar names in the participants, and I'm honored to be in community with you all. I regularly get to learn not just from Joy Elise and Keith and Dion, but from folks in this call. Um, like I said, Dr. Carmen is here. She is one of my favorite historians. She wrote this book called The Making of American Whiteness, and it's a really powerful and important book. Um, I am really grateful for the 760 people that are reoccurring monthly donors for EGC. That is truly such a blessing. The fundraising game is a lot. I'll just leave it at that. But it is really powerful to have so many people that rally behind us to keep this work going and growing. And I am truly honored to be leading such important work and to be getting to use my skills in development and community building in community, especially my home community. I was born and raised in Portland, and it was a La Femmes debutante, and so we were very much taught and pressed to make sure that we learn lots of really great skills and then we bring them back to our community, and to get to walk that is truly an honor and a blessing. And I'm really excited for next year. I really hope that more of our people across the color line lean in, as volunteers, as participants, as donors. I also would really like to see more people at our school board meetings and our city council meetings, and just at community in general, using our parks. Portland, as Joy Elise mentioned, is really special in the way that we do have a lot of resources and opportunity that is happening in Oregon. And I don't think that we celebrate it enough. I think there is always some chaos and some elite group who is yapping and doing something goofy or harmful. And oftentimes, a lot of the magic that is happening in day to day life is lost. But I really encourage us all to like slow down, look for it, and speak on it, right? When you see somebody, let them know I've been thinking about you. I'm proud of you. I saw what you've been doing, or I want to participate and follow through. Community building is in the little acts that we do. It's in the day to day stuff. It's in coming to this. It's in talking to your neighbors. It's being the reoccurring monthly donor. It's showing up at the school board meeting or city council meetings or whatever it is. And it's a long haul, right? It's not something fleeting. It's being an active, ongoing participant. And I encourage everyone to find the spaces that like call to you and then be consistent there. And as much as I know things like, as my cousin would say, things are bleak. I also think things are, they've been bleak. That's what we've known. And we also know how to make them not bleak. And so it is the responsibility of everybody to work on their little corner. And if I work on my corner and you work on your corner, and Joy Elise and Keith and Dion and everybody on the call is working on their corner pretty soon and talking to our neighbors, um, our corners are going to start lighting up together. And so I really encourage us all to lean in, and, let's make magic happen. I hope that we are the generation that starts to push for peace, food sovereignty, and the decoupling from capitalism.
Hell yeah. That's a hard act to follow, but I'm gonna follow it. As we close this conversation, I want to return to our theme. Community care and movement building are two sides to the same coin. One sustains the other. Um, we know that many people in our communities are struggling right now. Some are feeling disconnected, uncertain, or simply tired. The truth is that we all need community to survive. Part of our work at Imagine Black is to remind people that you're not alone. We create space for Black people to imagine, organize, and care for each other. We are practicing freedom. We are reclaiming our power and shaping the kind of future we deserve. As we move toward as we move toward 2026, let us remember that we build power in many ways. We show up at the ballot, but we also show up for our neighbors, our families, our coworkers, our communities. Each act of care, each conversation, and each gathering adds to the collective strength of our movement. Um, with that being said, before we sign off, here are a few ways to stay involved and connected. Join the Kinfolk membership program and come to our February Kinfolk quarterly meeting where the theme will be Black art and Black artists. We have ways to join our Kinfolk program on our website, or you can holler at me directly, Keith at imagineblack.org. Stay active on the Black Possibilities app to hear about upcoming events, volunteer opportunities, and organizing spaces. And follow Equitable Giving Circle and Imagine Black to continue supporting mutual aid, community care, and ongoing fight for Black self determination. As we head into the new year, remember that we keep us safe. Our care, our connection, and our commitment to one another are what make liberation possible. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for believing that freedom is something that we can build together. Have a beautiful evening, family, and take care of yourselves and one another. I really appreciate everybody that came. Have a wonderful night.